The next line in that song is, and I wonder what would happen if we say what we want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave. I love that skit, and I love the way Business Theater Live works, that they could actually tie in what I'm about to talk about with what I'm about to say. So my name's Tracey Warren, and I have said for the last 4 years that what I do is I teach businesses how to use social media. What I'm finding is what's driving me crazy is that businesses are using social media as opposed to really connecting and finding their next best customer through relationship. You know that old-fashioned thing that used to happen like 5 years ago before we all got connected to the blue stuff? What did he call it? The blue screen, right? Human connection. This is what it used to look like. Actually sitting, having conversations with one another. So my husband and I have been talking this week about the evolution of communication. That 20 years ago, when you called someone on the phone, you either reached them or you didn't, right? There were no answering machines, no caller ID, none of these tools that have allowed us to become passive-aggressive, dare I say. Oh gosh, Arden Kleiss is calling. I don't know if I have time to talk to her right now. I'll text her back. Okay, maybe that's happened to some of you. That drives me crazy. I'm like, no, I called you. That means I would really like to have an actual conversation with you. So we've somehow gone from this kind of connection to this. We're connected, aren't we? We're friends on Facebook, and we're connected on LinkedIn, and we follow each other on Twitter in a completely non-creepy way. And we text, and we Snapchat. Do you know what Snapchat is? Anyone else have teenage children? My daughter is 15, always adding to her story. But we're technically connected, technologically connected. And we sit behind our little computer screens. And when I say we, clearly I'm painting very broad strokes, because not all of us are. But as opposed to Jim, the introvert, I am a massive extrovert. Like when you take the Myers-Briggs thing, it's on a scale of 1 to 30. I am 30 extrovert. Yes! And what that means is this does not satisfy me relationally. I crave human interaction, which is ironic since I do social media. But the other thing I know, so I was at an event recently and somebody came up to me. It was my birthday, May 31st. You could write that on your notes if you want. Tracey Warren, birthday, May 31st. He said to me, "You had 237 notifications on your birthday." Oh, Facebook told him that. It's not like he went through and counted. And frankly, I have no idea who those 237 people are. But I remember the one birthday card I got in the mail. I remember the phone calls that I received. I remember my friends who came and we roller skated, because I'm 45, but I'm not that old. That's what I remember, is that personal interaction. What's my next slide? Oh, the like button. Oh, the like button. So there have been some articles that have been floating around Facebook over the last month. The first one was a guy took his own personal challenge, and he decided to click like on everything that he saw on his Facebook page. Now, as he was doing this, an amazing thing happens. Facebook keeps giving you suggestions for more things to like. So he had to put some parameters on it. But what happened was the more he clicked like, the more corporate business his Facebook page became. They kept making more and more suggestions around business. So then a couple weeks after that, a gal wrote a post about how she decided to stop clicking like altogether. And if she wanted to interact with a post, she would comment. So I started doing that a couple of weeks ago. And it's been amazing how Facebook has become social again. Like, we're actually having conversations. So like never started a conversation. Like was never the answer to a question. We don't sit at business meetings and say, like, retweet. Like, wouldn't that be ridiculous? And yet, that's what we're doing. Like has become our currency for a lot of people. And I'm going to say something bold here. Like is lazy. Liking is lazy. Write something. You could say one word. It could be wow. It could be great. Facebook makes you really good at adjectives. Because I want to make sure I don't say the same adjective all the time. Everything can't be amazing, which is becoming one of my least favorite terms. Oh, did I say that out loud? Amazing. But engage in a conversation, like really connect. That it's not about the like button. And I get it. People say, well, I click like, that's my way to say I acknowledge you. Okay, acknowledge them with a comment. Take 3 extra seconds to type 5 letters that says great. Think about one of the things I've noticed is because of social media, we've changed the way we communicate. When something bad used to happen to someone, what did we do? Ideas? We would call them. We would write to them. We would maybe stop by. We would bring them a pie. I love that example. Bring them a pie. What do we do now? Wait. Sorry, hugs. Now, I'm not sure why you're laughing, but maybe you've seen it. Maybe you've done it. So one of the things that I know, as you mentioned earlier, I'm starting a chapter of eWomen Network in Snohomish County. And thankfully, I've been running my business relationship-based since I started. So what has happened is I have people coming out of the woodwork to help. So what I use social media for is developing my tribe. Finding those champions and advocates that are going to support me and who I can in turn support, because it's not all about me, it's about all of us building relationships. That the activity, when we're engaging, Jim's word, when we're engaging online, when we're asking for conversation, when we're inviting, dare I say, conversation on our Facebook pages, on our Twitter feeds, that's how we create these raving fans around, we're creating a community around what we do. And that's powerful stuff. And in fact, one of the most fascinating things that's happening right now is that human connection is becoming more and more positively rewarded. I had a situation recently where 2 phone calls in one day, and I just found this strange. They called, I saw who it was, I answered. Both people, when I answered, said, "Oh, you answered." Phone rings, I answer. Like, isn't that what we do? And yet, many of us don't. I was this example. When did it become acceptable for people to take phone calls during meetings? Oh, wait, this one's really important. I've got to take it. Remember earlier I said that we used to reach people or not? We train the people we work with, right? If you send an email at 9 o'clock at night, now all of a sudden they know that, oh, they're working at 9 o'clock at night. That means I can email them back. But this idea, so one of the things I've noticed for myself is I'm going to buy a watch again. I haven't worn a watch since I started carrying a cell phone because why do I need a watch? I have a cell phone. But what I know is I use my cell phone as a clock at my meetings. So it's always up on the table so that I can push it at any time, see what time it is. Now, that's my innocent way of thinking about the phone being there. But then what happens? Anytime I get any notification, the phone lights up. So I was in a meeting the other day, and the guy I was with, the phone rang, and he said, you can get that if you want. I'm like, no, we're having a meeting. Like, we're talking. It was so amazing. Yesterday I had coffee with a couple of girlfriends, and I left my phone in the bag the whole time. It was so great. I know, Leo, right?
I don't have a bag, so I'm like,
You don't have a bag. Well, you could. Men always have pockets, right? A lot of women's clothing don't have pockets. I don't know if men know this, but. So really, when you think about, so this quote, I like the first part of this quote. Attention is the most basic form of love. One of the greatest gifts we can give the people that we're with is presence. How often do we go to a business meeting and you see a whole bunch of people like this? I'm like, I'm here to connect. Like IRL in real life. I'm here to connect. You know, talking before, I got to meet the, chiropractic gals and the American family, Mary Kay and, darn it. I was ready to remember your name, Renee. But that gift of attention it's just a simple thing that we can give to one another. And that attention is so much more impactful than it has been in a long time. So I have a challenge for you. So, here's what I would like you to do in the next 24 hours. If you take 5 seconds right now, I imagine that there is somebody that comes to mind. Someone that you're thinking about, someone who's maybe having a rough time, because they probably shared about it on Facebook, right? They shared about it. So make a phone call. Send them a real live greeting card in the mail. What was the other? Oh, set up time with someone. Set up a coffee date, a lunch date. That's the biggest gift that we can give someone is that time and attention and presence. It's been, I love Facebook because people have their birthdays on there. I've stopped wishing people happy birthday. I look a month ahead and I look at all the birthdays. Then I do something radical. I ask them for their home addresses. I ask people for their home addresses, and it's so funny because I will say, hey, I'm updating my records. Can I get your snail mail address? And it's remarkable to me how often people write back with their email address. But if I do it far enough in advance, they have no idea why I'm doing it. And then I sit down and I'll write a bunch of cards and put little Post-its on it to tell me when to mail them. And then they're getting cards from me. In fact, one gal, she said, yeah, you sent me 2 cards. I'm like, oh, oops. I'm being overly efficient. But just reach out to someone in a personal way, and then tweet me that you did. We'll have a little celebration that, okay, I know that's a little counterintuitive, but I love Twitter, and so I use it. So, but that would just be my challenge. I know it takes time to be connected, but the rewards are remarkable. So thank you so much. So are there any questions? Okay, Pia. Hi.
So I've read that it's a scientific problem that we have now. I can't remember the name of it, but where it's the reward system. We've trained our brain to release a hormone that rewards us for instant gratification, and because we want to be recognized and acknowledged. So that's why it's literally a drug.
Yeah. Okay, so she said that there's actually studies that are showing that acknowledgement, the likes, is like a drug. Or notifications, and how do you remedy that? Oh, that's a really hard question. And I think for me, my daughter's 15. She's like, Mom, I got 20 likes on this Instagram post. And frankly, I don't care. And I think for me, I had to make a mental shift. Because at first, when I first started this whole social media thing, I cared. I cared a lot, like way too much. So I obsessed over it, and I had to make a decision that it's not that important. And I know that some people just have to take a break from it. That they derive all their personal gratification or self-worth from likes and comments on Facebook. So I don't know that I'm the right person to answer that, but I know for me it was just about a personal decision that I'm not doing it to get likes. And I know there are people who do. I ran 12 miles today. Tell me how great I am. I said it again out loud, didn't I? Other questions? Thank you for that question. It's an intriguing premise, and I'm not sure. It is a conundrum. Arden?
Tracey, of course I agree with everything that you said. But I have a social media question.
Okay.
Do I have to be on Twitter?
So her question was, first of all, she agreed with me 100% wholeheartedly everything I said. That's what I heard her just say. Okay. Do I have to be on Twitter? The only social site I tell people they have to be on is LinkedIn. If you are a professional and you are in business, you should be on LinkedIn. We kind of expect to find you there. If you know that you're not going to spend time on Twitter, then no. I mean, I recommend it. Twitter allows you to connect with some different people in different ways. But if you don't have the time to dedicate there, then, yeah, that would be my answer. Leo.
As a follow-up on this, because I do have a Twitter account, but what do you put on Twitter?
What do you put on Twitter?
That's not a loaded question. I'm just trying to figure out from a professional point of view.
So, Earl, you don't mind foregoing your time, right? So I can talk about Leo's answer for the next... In the simplest, so your question was, what do I put on Twitter? And this would go for anything about social media, that you're building your expertise online. You are educating and communicating with your audience. Your brain is full of what you know best. That's what you talk about on social media. But in an engaging, you can proclaim your expertise, you can say it all you want, but unless you're engaging, you're inviting a conversation. Arden actually does really well at this. How does a host signify that the meeting is over? I'll come back later and tell you the answer. We're like, wait, what? No, I want to know the answer now. But it gets you paying attention to what she's talking about. So your brain is full of expertise. Share it in a way that's engaging and inviting. I have time for one more question. Yes.
Not so much a question, but I would really ask everybody to have a conversation about this within their family and within their business. This is something we're not talking about enough because it's changing the fundamental fabric of how we interact with each other as human beings, and we're not talking about it nearly enough. You know, I'm trying to imagine what I'm going to do the first time I talk to somebody who's wearing a Google Glass. And I've decided I will refuse to have that conversation until they take the glass off.
Yeah.
So I think we need to start thinking about boundaries that we're willing to set for ourselves. And when we're sitting at the table with somebody who's punching letters into their phone and not engaging with us, increasingly I think I'm just going to get up and walk away.
You know, there was an interesting article that a couple months ago about restaurants and how there was a restaurant that was questioning, like they were seeing a lot less clients, a lot less people, and they couldn't figure out why. So they hired a firm to help them evaluate what was happening. And what was happening is people were sitting for longer, but not sitting having conversations. They were sitting for longer because they were taking pictures of their food and then having the waiter take pictures of them and their food, and then the food would get cold, and so they'd send it back to the kitchen, and then they'd bring it back, and they'd take a picture. So they were extending their time taking pictures of stuff rather than engaging one-on-one. So I am actually all out of time, so thank you so much for your great questions, and we'll see you later.